Hawk. We're actually channeling Mary Hawk while she's away at Pagan Unity Festival. I'm Ed the Pagan, along with Rev Don Lewis for today's Great Tarot Thursday. You know how this works. You put your questions in the messaging system, and Don today will do a reading. We're not going to do tag team readings, but I'm here to modulate and to bring great joy to all of you. Uh, so, in talking about all things you're doing, so Don, one of the big things you're
Yes,
going to do is your Patreon. We can talk about that. Why not? Is that you're
yes,
doing readings within that Patreon environment
yes.
or consultations? This should be more appropriate.
Well, that's true. One of the tiers of membership offers a monthly consultation that can be a reading or can be something else. It's up to the person who is receiving it. But yes, that's one of the different tiers of membership, and you can find my Patreon at revdonlewis.com. And I am once again available for readings.
Hmm.
So if you've been watching me periodically on Tarot Thursday and thought it would be good to
Hmm.
get a reading from me, it is possible to do so now.
To demonstrate his authority. Uh, Here we go. So his asked for reading, and Mike Bride said, "Hello, Lord Don." There we go.
Hello. Hello
Hmm.
to Mike. Hello to Renee. Hello to Chad. Hello to everyone in the chat room, and a general reading for Renee.
Right. And there you go, Reverend Chad. Yeah.
Although you can't see it, I am shuffling the cards. Um,
And the deck that you're using tonight is a Tarot of Hecate of the first printing. You can tell because of the background on the back. It's one of the few rare collections, and that was if I believe right, it was only a 40 deck issue.
yes.
So if anyone ever sees it with that background, the Celtic, the Tarot of Hecate, the Heka, that is one of 40, I think 40 or 45 decks, something of that nature.
So we have drawn 3 cards to begin the reading.
Hmm.
And the first card is the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is sometimes described as the archetypal um, witch or shaman who is complete in themselves. They are able to do whatever they wish to do. Um, and it says for Renee that at this point in your life, you can pretty much do what you want to do. You're in a good position, you're in an independent position. With it is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is experience and judgment based upon experience. The Queen of Swords draws on her past experiences to form her current opinions. And it says that um, the things that you have experienced can very much inform your decisions about what to do next. So pay attention to the past. The past does not always repeat itself, but often it does. And with this card, it's saying the past is indicative of the future. Therefore, if you like what's happened in the past, repeat it. If you did not like what's happened in the past, try something new. And then the Prince of Wands, which represents a need for focus. And it says that as you go forward from where you are, it's important to decide what you want and focus on that, using your past experience to help you make that decision. Um, and this will help you to go forward. But it's all too easy to let your energies dissipate because life is life. Life is there. It will drag you away from what you wish to do. So make sure you keep your focus once you've chosen it. And let's draw 3 more cards. And we have drawn the Prince of Cups. And the Prince of Cups represents communication, um, artistry, ability to get a message across. So it's saying that as you go forward in, say, this next 6 months, your ability to communicate will be very important, and it will be crucial to getting what it is that you desire to get in life. So make sure that your communication is clear and straightforward, and pay attention to it. The Seven of Swords is next. The Seven of Swords says that the things that you want are very much attainable, but they are a bit of an uphill battle. And you can see the man in the card is cresting the top of a hill that he has battled his way up. So there's work involved in getting where you want to be, but you certainly can do so. And then our final card is the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords represents decisions and the ability to make them. So I would say that you're not necessarily sure at this exact moment what it is that you want and where it is that you wish to go during this period, but it's kind of laid out in front of you. And so the thing to focus on is making that decision of what it is that you want and pursuing it according to the things we've laid out. I'm going to draw one more card because I do. And that card will be the King of Swords. And the King of Swords basically, again, is the ability to make a good decision. And it's saying to use that judgment based on the past together with focus on the future to make the good decision that will help you to get to where you want to be. And that this next 6 months will largely be about focusing your life path and moving forward. And there we go.
Okay. Quite a reading there. So really quick, I think one of the things I think people may not realize is that we've talked about you getting back into art and you're doing more psychic readings. You're doing your Patreon.
Yes.
Um, this fall, we're going to be coming out with you're working on your next set of books, your next set of classes and courses on psychism.
Yes, indeed.
You're putting together a full, just like you did with the Wicca material of the Corellian tradition. You've made now what, 6 books you have out there? 7, 8?
At least, yeah, a number of them. Hello,
Yeah,
Janet, in the chat room. Yeah,
right.
I've done a number of books, and the next series of books is going to focus more on the psychic arts, the practical how-tos of using using these energies in your daily life.
The
And of course,
practicality
the
of it.
materials, yeah, the materials I've already written do deal with some of that, but this is going to focus more intently on that aspect. And how do you use this in the world? How do you go forward
Mhm.
in the world as a truly psychic person, as a magical person? And that is going to be my next focus. Well, hello,
And
Diane, in the chat room.
that sort of thing. If you do want a reading, just put your hand up, say so, wherever you're at, and where you are at tonight is actually a miracle of social transmission that we're expanding. You're probably on Roku, but if you're on Roku and want a reading, you need to go to Magic TV on YouTube or or Pagan World TV on YouTube. Kind of go in and join the conversation there, or any number of our pages, Pagan World Facebook pages, and several pages across the board. Anyone that are in those rooms can chat with us. And now we can see all those chats combined. So sometimes discombobulated because you don't see them all together. And I thank you because I think when people go to Ed Hubbard is the number one place people leave messages when you read. But if you want a reading, just simply put yourself type a message in whatever social media place that you're seeing this. And you can share this too. So there you go. I do believe one of the things I think that I'm caught into now is, and have been caught in for a long time, is the idea of transmission. The idea that information gets stored and transmitted, and that knowledge is fungible, meaning I can have it and you can have it. Non fungible
Hmm.
NFTs. A dollar bill is non fungible. Either I have the dollar and I can spend it, or you have the dollar and can spend it. Uh, There you go. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that's what non-fungible, non-fungible tokens means only you can have it. Only you can have the code. Whereas most files are fungible because you can make a copy. I can have a copy. Knowledge is fungible in the
Hmm.
sense of that
Absolutely.
we both can use the same basic knowledge, and that's one of the biggest fights in the world. That's why there's intelligence wars. That's why we're seeing what's happening in Florida. That's why, of them removing books. So the
Hmm.
idea behind all of that is that knowledge is the basis of where we create our culture.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm back in civilized Illinois. Um, but
Hmm.
I think not only can we both have the same piece of knowledge, but when we share it, it grows.
Hmm.
Um, Hiding knowledge diminishes it. Sharing it increases it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
And
knowledge is one of the things that work that way.
and so we would want to mention this. I actually have a tarot shirt that I wear too that people just adore. And it's getting old, so I have to actually have it professionally cleaned and repaired before I wear it out again. And so yeah, I love tarot card shirts. So yeah, keep rocking that.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
okay. So let's go ahead and try a little bit of a thought experiment. Why don't you just go ahead? I don't get it often, but why don't you give me a quick reading of I have a lot of different things that are happening with me. Uh, Me and Don actually live in the same house.
We do.
And all sorts of rumors are about that. We've lived on and off together in a lot of different ways. And people go, "Oh yeah," we even use the term partners. We are definitely bros in the sense of that. And
Yes.
people have always, people always like that. In today's day and age, people will now assume a lot of things. Don't assume. Just ask us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I find that very funny. We all know what I'm talking about, and I have nothing in that. Um, so let's go ahead really quick. While you shuffle the cards, LGBTQ month, Pride month. I've seen people are already acting out there. People are already doing out there. Um, so get into that pride, that energy, and that pride situation. And see
Yeah.
for
So once
they
again, I
miss.
am shuffling the cards.
I can tell they miss Mary because Mary they throw all sorts of questions at her. But she's at
Yeah.
Pagan Unity Festival this weekend, enjoying herself, and we want to send her positive vibes, everybody, to Mary, so she can relax and come back stronger and better into this project.
So our first card
Hmm.
is the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is a period when things are held back from where they might have been, a period of rest, a period of things not immediately moving forward. But it's crossed by the universe, which
Hmm.
is um, getting those things that you've desired. The universe is all of the good things in the universe.
Hmm.
And so it's saying that I would say that you're coming out of that period of things being held back and moving into that period of everything being there. Third card is the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands says that there's conflict about direction, um, different possibilities, fighting for which one will be the one to follow. Um, but there are different possibilities. It's not necessarily all laid out neatly. Let me draw another one. We've drawn the Death card, and the Death card says that situations are drastically changing.
Hmm.
Um, the Hangman says that it's a process, not an event. That change is unfolding, and what all will befall from it probably won't be entirely clear until it actually does.
And thank you for that. I think that's a good place to end.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and so are people intimidated by Dodd? You should ask for a reading. I'll throw it out there. But I guess these sort of public readings can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, I'm sure they can.
So let's talk a little bit about when did you start reading?
Um, in a general sense, I was very young. My mother gave me my first deck of tarot cards um, before I was really an adolescent. Um, way back in the 70s. It was the tarot of the hoi polloi, which was very popular at that time. I started reading professionally in my early 20s. I had been reading for people for a number of years at that point. And, I sometimes tell the story that we would go, Lady Crystal, Lady Bitterwind, and I would go to the local psychic fair when it came by once a year. And one year, they both looked at me and said, you're looking for a job. You've finished college. You're looking for a job. The readings that you give are just as good as what we just paid for. Why don't you become a professional psychic? And it's interesting because my college counselor had actually mentioned being a professional psychic, which I had taken as being more or less a joke. But that's what I actually ended up doing. It was kind of an interesting happenstance. And okay.
And that's a great place. We'll bring out more about Don and his psychic journey, just to realize that he's deeply rooted into the psychic world as much as he was the metaphysical and the magical world and the Wiccan world. But Diane has asked for a reading, and we will start with that. And then we have another individual right after that, but we are going to focus on Diane. Diane's our friend. We love her. We adore her. But there you go, Don. And Don always, one of the biggest things we've talked about message and messenger is always remember that the message is only as clear as the messenger.
Yes.
And that everybody should always be working constantly on finding a way to be a more clear channel. And even then, you have to deal with the Cassandra effect, but we won't talk about that. That's another story.
So our first card for Diane is the Five of Lamps. And the Five of Lamps is basically searching for meaning. And it says that as you go forward in this next 6 months, you're looking below the surface of things. You're looking inside. You're looking for not necessarily that deeper meaning existentially, but that deeper meaning at this moment. You're looking for what is it that you're meant to do? What direction do you need to go in? What is it that is meant for you at this moment? With it, we have the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups says that there's nothing wrong in your world at this time as we go forward through these months, but it's not quite everything you want it to be either. Often the Seven of Cups well, usually the picture is very different, but the idea is the same. It's not that there's anything lacking in a normal sense, but there's just something that must be found, must be answered. And so that is what you are seeking during this period. And we have the card, the Past. And the Past says, with those other two cards, that what you're going to find yourself seeking, the key is in the past. It may have to do with healing of past events. It may have to do with picking something up from the past. And let us draw a few more cards to continue to speak to this. And we've drawn the Future card, which, considering that came from an entirely different part of the deck for the future to follow the past, is quite interesting. And as you can see, the future shows a man flying with wings, and it illustrates the story of Daedalus and Icarus. What it does not mention is which of these two is depicted in the card. So it's saying, trust yourself and fly under your own power, but do so in a cognizant manner. Do so being aware, not to, as in the myth of Icarus, not to fly too close to the sun, but rather to fly where you want to be. And so as you address that issue of what you want to find, what you want to resolve, what you want to heal, focus on that and don't be drawn into other larger things that might distract you. And then we have the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands is victory after hard work. And it's saying that you absolutely can can deal with that issue. You can find what you're looking for. You can heal what needs healing. Um, Although everything is perfectly all right in your life, what might seem to be missing can be found, but it takes some effort. And it's going to take some soul searching to actually see that. I'm going to draw one more card. And the card I've drawn is the Queen of Coins. And the Queen of Coins says that while all of this is going on, everything is prosperous, everything is good, everything is happy. So it's a good situation that you're in. It's just that there is that feeling that there's something more that you will be focusing on looking for. And that something more, the key is in the past. And there you go.
Okay. Thank you. So really quick before we bring Janet. Janet was one. There you go.
Thank you, Diane.
I wish of that. And as always, uh, I'm going to do a quick caption piece. I want to do a quick piece, and we're going to talk about. Janet would like something about her travels, but let's go ahead and talk about right now. Corellian Publishing is publishing, I guess, our first outside the Corellian thing, Pagan World Publishing. And it's Travel Magic by Lisa McSherry. It's been announced a little bit. We're doing a soft just in the middle of its final edit, and will be out soon by Corellian Publishing. I'm so
Yes,
excited
indeed.
about that. So you'll find out more. But Jenna is asking the question, and she goes, there we go. And as it out there, I would like reading about my many travels ahead.
Well, we shall draw some cards. Although I will say that when you ask about many things at once, you're going to get a general answer that speaks to all of them, and may not necessarily speak to every little detail. But that's as it is. I am shuffling the cards. You can't see them, but here we go. And we will draw 3 cards for Janet. And our first card is the 6 of Coins. And the 6 of Coins is sharing. It's being generous with what you have and spreading it around. So as you undertake these travels, you may find that there are other people who are involved, or that the part that you're really enjoying is the other people. So be prepared for that interaction to be very important in what you're doing. With it, we have the Empress, who says that you will have all the resources you need for these travels, and that you'll be in a good position while undertaking them. And the Stars. And the Stars is spiritual guidance. So I don't know if the travel is necessarily for spiritual purposes, but it will have a spiritual effect in your life. It will stimulate you spiritually. It will stimulate spiritual growth. And let us draw 3 more cards. We've drawn the 7 of Lamps, which is purification. And so you may find as you go through these travels that you're also experiencing a spiritual purification as well as spiritual inspiration, that you're healing parts of yourself and letting go of certain blockages and certain things that have held you back or held you down. And with that is the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands represents being in a good position for yourself and also a good position to share with others, which goes back to that first card about shared experience. And hello to Fluffy in the chat room. You will find in these travels that aspect of interacting with others, of sharing your experiences with others, is going to be vitally important to what you're getting from it. That will be a very important part of what's happening. And we've drawn the 7 of Wands, which we drew earlier. In the previous reading, the 7 of Wands is victory after hard work. So you may find parts of this Even though you're in a good position to undertake it and you have everything you need, you may also find it may be tiring in places, it may be difficult in places, but it also is well worth the doing and very much able to be accomplished. And I'm going to draw one more for you. And we'll take this one, if it will cooperate. And it does, and it's the Hanged Man. And so as you go through these travels, I'm sure you'll notice lots of things you're getting from them, but what you really get from them, you won't notice until the travel is done. When you have completed your last trip within this series that you're asking about, then you'll be able to see how this has affected you. While it's happening, you probably will not. But you'll find it has had a major spiritual effect on you. And again, that will be spiritual cleansing and healing and inspiration. And even if this is not necessarily spiritual travel, it will still have that major spiritual effect. And there you go.
Yeah. And Fluffy's joined us out there. Thank you. I also put out a notice for people who are interested. CorellianPublishing.com is another place you can look for Don Lewis's books. Um, so there you go. So last we left, so we're talking about this, is that you were just out of college and you became a professional psychic.
Yes.
So that was what, 19?
Um, it was the early 1980s. I would have to say I was probably 20, 19, 20, thereabout. Um, when I started working with the D&H Fair Circuit. And it's very interesting, as we were packing for this move, I came across the newspaper article.
Mm-hmm.
The very first day that I was a reader, I showed up in the commercial news in Danville. I don't know why they picked me, but they did. And there I was. And that was a very interesting start to my professional psychic career. Of course, I'd been doing psychic work for quite a while before that, but not professionally in the same way.
Got you. Um, it's interesting. That kind of sets you with a early way of dealing with it.
It was very interesting. And, one of the things I found that I'll probably be talking a lot about as I do more teaching in psychic matters, the different psychic fairs and groups that I worked with, they were all different. They all had their own distinct feeling, their own distinct people. I worked for many years with D&H psychic fairs. Then I worked for many years with J&M psychic fairs, and it was a very different experience. All of the people there were psychic readers who were highly spiritual, but their
Hmm.
spirituality tended to be a little bit different, and the experience of the work, the way it was done, was different.
I gotcha.
Um, there was another circuit I worked with that was a little different again. I've also done all kinds of one-off events like parties and individual fairs that were different again. And it's not in its way just one experience. If you go out to become a professional psychic, there are certain things that will always be true, but certain things that are going to be very much dependent on who you're working with.
Hmm. I can understand that. People don't realize for a long time I was a pretty intense reader, but I was basically uh, a entertainment reader, and I told people that my goal is
Mm-hmm.
to entertain you, to be more on the mystic. I did a lot of nightclubs. You know, I was the urban terrorist before that whole world got too close to what it was. It was funny. I still have we saw a lot of the pictures and things like that. But I read for fun, for your fun and entertainment. I mean, that is it's a very different style. I mean, I'm not there though I've done some wicked things with it. I just and have had done a lot of things that people like. I'm not so much. And what really ended my career for doing it is burning out because people wanted me to do long form readings.
Mm-hmm.
To do half an hour. I had some great I had VPs and I had a lot of great people, but they wanted all of these readings hour after hour after hour. And I'm just like, I don't. I trust people. Your life is better put together than mine, and you're coming to me for advice, right? and it trust me, you guys are well put better together than I was, and that's only pushed me out of it because I wasn't a psychologist or a psychologist. I was a Master Coven, was a famous nightclub reader, and I party reader. That's almost what I exclusively did. And even when I was to Salem, I was that was 15-minute readings right on the dot,
Hmm.
and that I do very well. I enjoy that,
Yes, you do.
but so there's all sorts of different ways of reading. So I guess one of the things. Unless we have another hand up, which we do not yet, let's give this last idea. So one of the things that set Corellianism apart from a lot of the other traditions early on was this idea of the emphasis on the psychic arts as part of their belief, as part of the beliefs that this is absolutely part of it, the soul research and all of that.
Hmm.
And I guess what I would say is that you covered all of that, but a lot of the work you've done is in theology, philosophy, ritualism.
Hmm.
And you've got
Yes,
literally thousands of people who practice that now. That must be a
that's
great
true.
feeling. Hmm.
Oh, it is. It is. I feel, I often say that seeing that the work that I've done makes a difference in people's lives is the thing that makes it worthwhile. And I have
Hmm.
known a lot of people who've said it has improved their lives.
Oh, sure.
Um, and that, I mean, that is the thing that makes it worth doing.
Hmm.
So it is an incredible feeling. And I have seen a lot of people who have very clearly had improvement in their lives from learning these disciplines.
I will go so far as to have them seem to surpass or no longer be afflicted, allegedly, from certain
Mhm.
of diseases. I mean, we saw that in the beloved Wendy LaJoy. She was able to find techniques that were able to help her,
Mhm.
as she always claimed. And there are others who have gone through that process.
We've actually had a number of people who've commented that the teaching saved their lives, sometimes in a very physical sense.
Hmm.
Because we were teaching online, we were able to reach a number of people who had physical disabilities or physical issues that they were going through, who the wider community had not been able necessarily to serve, because some of these people could not physically leave their houses. Um, and they did. Many I've had many people tell me that it did make a huge difference in their life. Sometimes physically, sometimes spiritually, so often in both ways, and that is quite an incredible feeling. So
And I think that's one of the things. Now that we're moving on, so really, like you're not deeply involved with all of that. You've been able to teach it, and now it has its own teachers and teachers of teachers.
yes.
You have multiple teachers, and that's being handled out there, freeing you up to go ahead and do more art, more of that.
Hmm. And that's an interesting feeling too.
Hmm.
Um, I'm moving to the grandfather portion of my life, and the kids are grown up and doing what they do, and that is an interesting feeling, and I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of the people who are carrying forward this lineage and doing this work.
Hmm.
And it does now mean that I can do other things. Um, I often say that our role is not merely to pass on knowledge, but to increase it. But for many years, I've been focused heavily on passing on. Now I can focus on increasing. Now I can focus on new things. Um, I can
Hmm.
focus on other disciplines um, that have always been among the things that I do, but have had to be on a back burner. It's been many years since I truly focused on the psychic arts because I've been so focused on the church. But now I can focus on practicing and teaching the psychic arts again, practicing and teaching artwork again, um, which is probably my first love.
Absolutely. So, uh, And speaking on that, so we're waiting on the. You're going to be teaching your first, I guess, outside of that normal confined seminar, part of your Patreon
Yes.
system. Talk about it.
So on June 24th, Saturday, June 24th at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, and of course, various times around the world, I am doing a live video seminar, the title of which is The Nature and Practice of Magic. But we'll be talking about um, why magic is what it is, how it works, why the universe is what it is, and how the use of magic lies in that interaction between these things. So it's going to speak to to the nature of magic as well as the practice of it. One of the things I think people often overlook is the why behind the how. And so this will be dealing with both aspects, and it will be in one seminar. And if you're interested in that, you can get it. If you can join my Patreon at the seminar tier, and you can join that seminar for free. Or if you are not wishing to do that, but would still like to come to the seminar, you can go to Corellian Publishing and get a ticket.
Absolutely. So I think Lori needs a. She said what she was saying. I think she needs a reading.
Okay.
What do you think, Lori? Lady Lori's, which we are grateful for, and is one of our great friends. Uh, she kind of deserves a reading, a short one, 3 cards.
Yeah.
Unless she needs longer, the cards in possession over. So one of the things I think that people don't understand, you do channeling work as well. We'll talk about
Oh
that on the
goodness,
other side.
yes.
We'll talk about that on the other side of the reading.
Okay.
So I need some sort of animation right here when we do this.
Yeah. So our first card for Lori is Fortune, and Fortune represents a gift from fate. Um, and fate may appear It may appear to be something that you've done nothing to bring about. It merely happens. It is a gift from the universe. But of course, in reality, you're constantly interacting with the universe. So nothing is ever truly separate that way. And you have done things to bring it about, but it's a gift from the universe. With that is the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups has to do with working with another person. On occasion, it can be working with an organization. Um, but it often is a person. Sometimes it's a romantic situation, but not necessarily. And it represents um, working together to build the future. And with that, we also have the Ace of Coins, which is money. And so through that work will come financial prosperity. The Ace of Coins is just kind of bluntly money. Ace of Pentacles, um, money, prosperity. Of course, prosperity is not always money, but I'm inclined to take it that way in this. And let me draw one more for you. And we have the Ten of Lamps, which also is finding and fulfilling spiritual purpose. So not only prosperity coming from that work, but spiritual fulfillment. So there you go.
Lori, we got to get shows again.
Yes, we
So
do.
for those that don't know about, being one of the great, edgy type of our team's always been kind of edgy. While we're here now on TV across so many channels, we were once upon a time on podcasting, our nightly blog talk radio. And Lori
Yes,
did a
indeed.
great job with something called the Corellian Family Hour, amongst other things. But yeah, those shows you can still see on Night Radio. And there you go. Lori says thank you. And Kevin says he's new here. Well, welcome. I'm glad you are. We This is on Thursday night. It is Tarot Thursday of the Daily Spell issue, and yeah, we should think about doing that one again. Lori, we talk
What?
about that. I think the Corellian Family
Yes.
Hour is going to need to come back, and we're going to be starting. One of the things we're also going to be talking about in the future is doing that. But I will have one last subject before we, I guess, we'll see how it goes, and that is about the idea, um, channeling. This idea of channeling. So I've noticed channeling is starting to come back again,
Hmm.
and that you teach channeling amongst the other things. Now, is that a
Oh,
spiritual
yes.
skill, or is it a psychic skill, or both?
I would use either term to describe it. I mean, it certainly is
Okay.
a psychic skill, but it's also certainly a spiritual skill. Um,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of different words to describe it. Some people would use the term mediumship. Some people use the term channeling. Some people use the term oracle. I learned to do this when I was quite young, and it is a very important part of Corellianism, the idea of speaking with the ancestors. When
Hmm.
I was surrounded by this as a child, um, learned it early in life, and have done it my entire adult life. And it's
Hmm.
it's a fascinating discipline. And we
There
do
it is.
teach this. I do teach this, and it will probably itself become the subject of a seminar sometime later this year. Um,
And Kevin, who says, "How do I get some insight?" And he's new to to the show and channel. Well, welcome aboard. And how does he get? He says, "How do I get some insight?"
well, I think that depends in part on what is meant by that question.
Well,
Insight to life, insight to a particular situation. Um,
I think. Well, maybe just draw a few cards. I guess. See what he's. Yeah. That's
yeah,
what.
we'll draw the cards and we'll see what they say. So let us get some insight for Kevin.
And for those of you, while he does that, Mary Hawk will be back next week, and she also does everything psychic. If you want to be a part of this in any way, show, become a guest, help us build Pagan World TV into the blockbuster station it will be. We've got some really great things coming up. Thank you, Mamita. Is that I can't pronounce that. I am a terrible butcher of names, but and there we go.
So our first card for Kevin is the Eight of Lamps, and the Eight of Lamps is meditation. And so what it's saying is that, um, well, if what you seek you find not within yourself, you will never find it. You must look within for the insight you desire. Um, Even your own brain is pulling you away from it. You need to look below the surface. It's like when you stare into water, the surface can be a mirror, but underneath is clarity. And so meditation will help you to find the answers that you're looking for, the insight that you're looking for. With that is the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands says this is going to take time. Understand it's a process, not an event. Work with meditation, work with spiritual guidance, and it will move you to where you want to be, but it will move you step by step. Um, and that's good. It's because as you move gradually, you move with strength. Sometimes when you move too quickly, you move with fragility. And with that is judgment. Judgment is saying, yes, you absolutely can get the insight that you're looking for. And it goes along with the two previous cards saying that you have to do the inner work, you have to do the meditation, and um, it will bring you the insight that you're looking for to work with your life. And judgment is getting what you have sought, what you have worked for. And let us draw 3 more cards. We have the Queen of Wands, which says that around you is prosperity. We have the 7 of Coins, which says that although you're in a good situation, I assume the insight that you're looking for is partly what direction to go in. Because this is generally a card of having a number of possibilities and having to select among them. And with that also is the 7 of Lamps, which again is purification. We had that come up in an earlier reading. And it says that as you go through this process of gaining the insight that you're seeking and determining the direction you're going in, you're also going to go through a purification. A number of blockages will be healed and fall away during the process and must do so for a successful outcome. And so understand that part of this, and part of the reason it may seem that it takes a while, is that it's also an inner purification. I'm going to draw 1 more card. And we've drawn the Princess of Pentacles. And the Princess of Pentacles basically says that you can move on this anytime you choose to do so, but part of you may hold back from it. And that may be because when we do meditation, when we do inner cleansing, when we go through purification, it can bring us things that are difficult to look at, difficult to resolve. And there may be part of you that is hesitant to do that. But you are able to do it whenever you decide you're ready. And when you decide you're ready, move, and it will come. And there you go.
Well, thank you, Don. And thank you for everybody for being here with us tonight. Um, like I said, tomorrow the Daily Spell will be back, and we're going to talk about, we don't know yet. That's what it is right there. Usually we try to do paranormal, but we've been on every day this week. We gotten back. I'm really kind of excited that we're back in our groove. And here we go. So there you go, folks. Remember, paganworldtv@gmail.com if you have any suggestions, or one of our Facebook pages. And there you go, folks. So Don, why don't you give us a blessing tonight versus a prayer? And Diane, thank you. Says thank you. People are saying thank you for your evening. And why don't you exit us with a blessing?
I will be happy to do that. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we ask you to bless us with self-knowledge and self-realization. Help us to see that which is before us clearly. And may we be blessed with the knowledge that each of us seeks in our own way. So mote it be.